Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeri Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmanyevanupashyati sarvabhuteshu chatmanam tato nivijugupsate. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmaneva anupashyati. One who sees all the beings in one's own self. Now that cannot be that in the self that I think I am, that I see all the beings. Right now my perception is I am a limited self. This means that there is a complete transformation in my perception of myself. I cannot continue to see myself as I do today and then hope that I see everybody in myself. That is a complete transformation in my perception of myself. When, as said earlier, that anejat ekam manasa javiyah, the Atma Anatma Viveka was described earlier and will continue described. That manasa javiyah, I am the witness of the mind. Nena deva apnuvan purvamarshat, I am the witness illuminator of all sense organs. Why is this said? In Kathopanishad and Kenopanishad says, Shrotrasya Shrotram Manasaha Manaha. That Atma, the self, is described as Shrotrasya Shrotram, the ear of the ear. Manasaha Manaha, the mind of the mind. What is? It's not that another ear is meant to be there and the mind is meant to be there, that there is mind inside a mind. Shrotrasya Shrotram. That because of it, Shrotram, the organ of hearing, is what it is. That because of which the Shrotram, the organ of hearing, is able to hear. Manasaha Manaha, that because of which the mind thinks. Chakshu Shrotram Kaudayo Yanakte, who is that Devata because of which I see, the ears hear? See, meaning that you look upon Shrotram, Chakshuhu, Manaha as yourself because of identification. Pretyasma lokad amrta bhavanti. Kenopanishad says, Asma lokad pretya. Departing from this world, meaning this identification. Amrutaha bhavanti, they become immortal. The wise person becomes immortal. The one who is immortal. Athamartyo mruto bhavati. Kathopanishad says that now the mortal becomes immortal. The mortal cannot become immortal. Nothing can change in nature, but the one who thought I am mortal discovers that I am immortal. So that is how the perception changes. Then I see all beings are in me. When my perception about I am simple consciousness, that's all I am. Asti, bhati, priyam. My knowledge or understanding of myself becomes completely simple. All that I am is I am. Self-shining, self-sufficient, I am. Then I realize that what is my dimension then? I have no dimension. As long as I think I am an ahankara, an individual, there is a dimension that I am confined to this body. It's not that I am in the body is in me. It's not that the space is in the part. That's what the part space thought. No, the space is in part, then the space undergoes a transformation in its own perception of itself. Space thought that I am within the part. Then the space teaches them, hey, you are within the part, or is part within you? So it is not that now there are so many part spaces, so many atmas are there, part space, class space, countless spaces are there. And as long as the space thought that I am confined in the part, so long I thought that other spaces are all different from me. When it sees I am the space, then not that something happens, it realizes that what I thought is all different spaces is just a one. Everything gets included in me. So not that something happens. What happens is the change or transformation in my perception of myself. We discussed in the morning, tato navijugupsade. When there is no second one, there is no other one. If there is someone other than myself, then I have an opinion. Whether he is favorable, unfavorable, friend, foe, good, bad, indifferent. Then there is likely there is an attachment for someone I think is good and aversion for someone I think is bad. All my conclusions. So these jugupsa is not there, aversion is not there, so attachment also is not there. One becomes free from attachment and aversion by discovering that all there is I, the oneself. So this is the way to contemplate upon ourselves. So how do I meditate on myself? How do I contemplate upon myself? Right? I'm not what I take myself to be. Ahamayam koto bhavati chinmatah ahipatatyaham. Ramana Maharshi says, Ahamayam koto bhavati. Where does this aham arise from? Aham means sense of individuality, the I thought. What is the truth of the I thought? Is it the I, the limited I that I think of myself to be? Where did it arise from? So that is his method, of course, of looking at the source of aham. Where does the aham vritti arise from? Before aham vritti also, between two vritti there is consciousness. Aham vritti arises from consciousness, merges back into consciousness. It is consciousness when it is there also. So the different ways are shown as to how to recognize what my essential nature is. Different ways means this is only viveka basically. And the result of this knowledge is very simple. Tato na vijugupsade, it becomes free from jugupsa, gruna, aversion, hatred. Elsewhere, na vijugupsate is explained as na gopayata michyate. Jugupsa means gopayata. He no more now requires to protect himself. Meaning that he becomes free from fear. Becoming free from aversion, free from fear. That is a simple outcome of his knowledge. And that is simply what is called a moksha. Freedom from fear, freedom from aversion, freedom from hatred. The same idea is continued in the next mantra also. On page 7. Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmayeva bhut vijanatah tatra ko moha kasyokah ekatvamanupashyatah. Same thing is stated, not different thing. So what was said in the earlier mantra, essentially same thing is stated here. Imam evamartha anyovi mantra aha, same artha. Seeing everything in me and seeing me in everything, meaning recognizing myself as the self of all, that I am all inclusive self, there is nothing separate from me. Meaning that my dimension has become so vast. Our Swami in the olden days used to say, there is no one like me. So what is so special about you? There is no one like you? None of you is like me. In what way? I am the subject, you are all object. Isn't it? Who am I? I am subject. You are all object. Nobody is like me. Then, what is the second step? Nobody is like you. Then who are you? There is nobody other than me. Because when I am drashta, the witness, where is the boundary of this drashta? And where the drashya, drashta, drashya we say, isn't it? The subject and object. So now, this subject or drashta, where is the boundary where the drashta, has a limit? Every boundary also becomes drashya, isn't it? When I am in this hall, but then the hall also becomes drashya. So, drashta has no boundary, isn't it? When we think of how far is drashta or the witness, I find that everything is my consciousness. There is no one like me, there is no one other than me. So this is how yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaiva bhut vijanatah. Vijanatah. For the wise person, this word vijanatah, vijanatah. Janatah, jna means to know, janatah, one who knows. For the one who knows, sixth case. Vijanatah, vivicya janatah. One who knows oneself, vivicya, as separate from anatma, by atma, anatma, viveka, one who knows oneself as separate from anatma, drishya, non-self. Or visheshatah janatah. We know ourselves. Aham asmi, I am, sada bhami, I shine, asti, bhati, prem. That each one of us knows that I am. You can call it samanya jnanam, that everybody has. Visheshena janata, but vishesha, Not only I am, but then I am limitless. That is Vishesha. So not only that I am Asmi, Bhami, Priyam, Asti, Bhati, Priyam I am, but that I am Brahman, I am non-dual, I am the only one. That's a Vishesha Jnana. So Vijanatah, Visheshena Janatah, Vivichya Janatah, Visheshena Janatah. One who knows oneself as separate from Anatma, the Upadi, the costume. And one recognizes that I am all pervasive, I am the self of all. That is Vishesha. Which was described in the earlier mantra. So first line essentially reiterates what was said in the previous mantra. And just as the earlier mantra told us about the result of the knowledge, this one also tells us Tatra komo yasmin sarvani bhutani. Yasmin is seventh case. Now there are two interpretations. Yasmin, one in which, or one in whom, or when. Yasmin kale, at what time? Or Yasmin adhikarini, in which adhikari, in which person? It's a pronoun. Yasmin means the one in which, one in whom. Or one at what time. So at what time? The one in whom this knowledge takes place. So this pronoun Yasmin is used with a certain purpose. One in whom when this knowledge takes place. Meaning that this is something rare, that not it takes place just like that. When it takes place, it is a result of a lot of effort, preparation, maturity. The sixth chapter, Lord Krishna says, Aneka janma sampraptah tato yati param gatim. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam. Not to discourage, but then the idea is that this is a culmination of all the effort that one has been making. And the first effort is to live a life in keeping with my essential nature. That's called the life of kartavya, values, getting antahakana shuddhi. Then, as the mind becomes sattvic, then automatically krupa happens. Ishvara krupa, Guru krupa, Shastra krupa, all this krupa is required. Required grace of Ishvara, because of which we get Guru. We require grace of Guru. So then we learn Shastra. So we require grace of Shastra. Then the Shastra reveals its meaning in our mind. And grace of Atma. Then Atma becomes favorable to me. Atma eva hyatmano bandhu. Lord Krishna says, Atma alone is your benefactor, Atma alone is your enemy. So to transform the Atma into benefactor, to be favorable to me, by removing superimpositions of an Atma. Not that Atma is unfavorable, but then when you look upon Atma as a limited being, then as though acts as unfavorable to me. So Atma Krupa, the self also becomes favorable, reveals itself to me. Ishvara, that's why it's a rare thing that Yasmin, for that rare person, and at the rare time. So Durlabhata, or that this is something very rare. Swamiji, you tell me that I become, no, you not for discouraging us. Well, Lord Krishna says, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid siddhe. One among thousands even tries. Not to encourage us that we are one among those thousands, Yatatam siddharam kaschin mam ved. That now that you are striving today or tomorrow, you are going to do it. Because once the priorities become clear, most important is the priority in our life. That this should become important to us. That moksha should become important to us, and we should work on that. As what do I want? What is the desire behind all the desires? We have to recognize what I am seeking is simple, unconditional freedom. That's what I am seeking. I am seeking unconditional happiness. That's what I am seeking. And that it cannot be found anywhere else, has to be seen, as myself. So it's called Viveka. It's Nitya, Nitya, this is Viveka. As to what it is that I am seeking. That is within my capacity to inquire, what am I seeking? What do I want in my life? Happiness. What kind of happiness? Unconditional happiness. This much. We say, how much happiness do I want? To recognize this. Secondly, everything in the universe is limited. Nothing can give me. And therefore, I give up any kind of attachment, fascination, or, which I thought they were giving me, and then I realized that it is nobody's fault that they can't give me, that they don't have it. So this Viveka brings about Vairagya. So this work we have to do. We have to develop that conviction that this is what I want, and that the only problem in my life is ignorance. And ignorance causes various notions in me, and those ignorance in the form of various notions create problems. Various notions about myself, and there were notions about the world. Only we to work on this part. Often the Vedanta students don't work on this part. Don't recognize what causes me the unhappiness or sadness. That ignorance is cause of shoka and moha. Moha means taking anatma as atma, and therefore entertaining various complexes about oneself. Basically, complex, I am a limited being. That's what causes shoka. What makes me unhappy is not something else out there, not some happening. It is simply my perception of myself that I am a limited being. My family is not the cause. My boss is not the cause. My neighbor is not the cause. I am not the cause. What is the cause? My false conclusion or notion or perception about myself. More clear we become, more we will stop looking around for causes, and because we are trying to remove unhappiness. So what I think is cause of unhappiness, I remove that. And try to remove. Our life is a constant endeavor to remove the cause that we think causes me unhappiness. That's what we are doing. So when that clarity comes, that ignorance and the Brahma or the notions caused by ignorance, they are the cause of unhappiness or sadness. That I am a limited being, I am an inadequate being, that is what causes me unhappiness. Because I have an expectation of myself. What is my expectation? I should be perfect, limitless, successful, always right, good. Very demanding person I am. And first, where do I make demand? Upon myself. What's the demand? I must be perfect. Must be complete, always right. When I am not right, I keep on punishing myself. So when I find I am not, I keep punishing myself. By rejecting myself, criticizing myself. Who is the greatest critic of myself? My own self. Fellow sitting inside all the time is commenting like the soccer and football and whatever. Constant comment is going on. Constant criticism is going on. About whom? About myself. Like this, you're like that, you're like that. So let us recognize this process. Where we have to work. Otherwise, if that is the cause, I work there. Whatever I think is the cause of my unhappiness, that's where I work. So we just spend the whole life in doing things around, changing, etc., etc. We remain intact. So Yasmin, Sarvani, Yasmin, at what time? When all this viveka, this clarity comes, then the life gets a very clear, it becomes a clear process. That's the reason why Puja Swami used to say that the Vedanta teacher first describes the problem. I never knew I had a problem, really. What's the problem? So first 3 days went in describing the desire, the desire shows there is some inadequacy. And so on and so forth. And that is how that problem is centered upon myself, the solution is centered upon myself. Yasmin, at what time, in which person? So all of this has to happen. Then Sarvani Bhutani Atma Eva Bhut. All beings became Atma. The Anatma became Atma. What happened? They all merged into something? What happened? Is there a process of becoming that Anatma became Atma? No. What I thought of Anatma, I recognize it is Atma. What is Anatma? Who is separate from me? Isn't it? Who is me? I think that I am confined to the body and everything outside the body is Anatma. When I recognize that, when the space recognizes the true dimension, then all spaces are included. When I see myself as simple consciousness, asti bhati priyam, then nothing is separate from me. There is no Anatma. Meaning that what was thought to be Anatma is recognized, not that it becomes Atma. Atma eva bhut. When everything became Atma, meaning that when everything is recognized, that's what it is. So knowledge is recognition of what is. Understanding what is, recognizing what is, seeing what is. When Vedanta emphasizes knowledge, it means understanding what is. Why is it so? Because I have an understanding, unfortunately. I have a wrong understanding. That is why this becomes difficult. Studying physics, chemistry is not so difficult because I have a clean slate. I have no problem with atoms and molecules and things like that. I am available to understand them as they are. I may have a problem with my intellect that they are too sophisticated, so I may not be able, but that's a different thing. But here my problem is that it's not a clean slate. I go to the teacher with all kinds of conclusions, notions, complexes about me. Atma eva bhut, when recognizes what is Atma alone. So then the same as with tatra ko moha. Moha means aviveka. There is no identification anywhere. There's no notion about me that I am limited self, I am inadequate self. All those moha, all those notions about me, which are all born of ignorance or aviveka, naturally drop off. So this is the process of progressively becoming free from the notions or opinions or conclusions or delusions about myself. That is why we say Upanishad Sat is Gati Avasadhanam, Visharanam, Shithilikaranam, first become loosened. Tatra ko, then where is the moha means aviveka. Taking anatma to be atma and superimposing the attributes of anatma upon atma, meaning taking myself to be a limited being. That doesn't remain. Then there is no shoka. That alone, you see, only my conclusion of myself only causes shoka. Nothing else causes me grief. Even I cannot say I am the cause of my grief. My opinion or conclusion about myself is the cause of my sadness and happiness. Swami, I am not sad. God bless you. But as long as I take this body to myself, I am going to be. I may not recognize. So, tatra ko moha kashokaha. Bhashyakara explains that this is what Bhagavad Gita addresses. Bhashyakara writes a preface, Upodghata Bhashyam, where Bhashyakara Shankaracharya ji shows us how Shoka and Moha is the basic problem of Arjuna and of human being. Not something only special to Arjuna. He represents a common human being. Meaning that teaching of Bhagavad Gita is meant to help the human being become free from grief, and that's all, Swamiji. What else do you want? Then what? As long as the question, then what? That means it's not yet gone. Then means what? Present is not all right. See, then when I look up to something else, that means that right now things are not okay, isn't it? But when right now things are okay, then question doesn't remain. Ekatvam anupashyatah ko moha kashokaha. So Lord Krishna's asochan anasocastvam begins that and says ma shuchaha. So that's how Vedantin derives the tatparya of Bhagavad Gita. Upakrama, upasamhara. With upakrama, asochan anasocastvam. The 11th verse of the second chapter of the Gita. Arjuna, you are grieving for that which doesn't deserve to be grieved for. Who is Arjuna grieving for, you know? Oh, Bhishma, Drona, no. Even though they say he is grieving for, nobody grieves for Bhishma and Drona. Everybody grieves for himself. We are always centered upon ourselves. Bhishma, Drona, my dear ones, reverential ones, when they will not be there, what will happen to me? Their not being there, ultimately what will happen to me? So I am the problem. Bhashyakara may say, Bhishma, Drona, that is not the problem. I am the problem, I am the solution. The ignorant I is the problem, and the enlightened I is the solution. So Arjuna is grieving for himself, between you and me, not for anybody else. Because no Upadesh is given to Bhishma, Drona, no Upadesh is given, only about Arjuna the Upadesh is given, isn't it? From beginning to end. Recognize who you are, then you will find that there is no grief, there cannot be grief. Tatra ko moha kashokaha ekatvam anupashyatah. The next mantra, as we said, the vision given the first mantra, Ishavasyopanishad Sarvam, is elaborated in the mantras 4 to 8, in the 5 mantras. So now we come to the mantra 8, which elaborates, means what was said in the first mantra, Ishavasyopanishad Sarvam, alone is explained. And So again the eighth mantra, Yam Atire Mantra Yukta Atma. This Atma who has been earlier explained, the earlier two mantras said, just means Sarvani Bhutani Atma Eva Bhut Vijanataha. Yasu Sarvani Bhutani Atmanyavanupaya. What is that Atma? Earlier two mantras use the word Atma. So what is the nature of that Atma? Sasven Rupena Kim Lakshana Heti. The Atma of the self, you said, the wise person who knows the true nature of Atma, sees that all the beings are in him and he is in all the beings, or he finds that all that is Atma. What is the nature of that Atma that the wise person sees? So that is described in this eighth mantra. So on page 8, let us read that mantra. Saparyagat shukramaka avranam asnaviram shuddham apapa vidham kavir manishi paribhu swayam bhuhu yatha tatthitothan vedadhat Saraswatibhyas samabhyah. Saha. Where is Saha? That one? Saha is a pronoun? That. You can't say that unless you already mentioned him. He came to my house last night. Then he chatted with us. Then he dinner with us the whole long. But who is he? You can't use pronoun unless you have used a noun. Then it's Devadatta came, and then you can use the word he. Otherwise, so he came last night. Yeah, he sat with us, talked to us, had dinner with us, left. Who is that? So he is a pronoun that presupposes already a noun. Saha is a he. What is that? That is why Yaha yathoktai mantrai yuktaha. Saha, that Atma which has been described in the earlier mantras, that Atma. Pariyagat. Pari, agat becomes pariyagat. Agat from root gam, pariyagat. He went everywhere. Agat went. Pari everywhere. He went everywhere. Pari samantat agat gatavan. He went everywhere. Meaning what? He is all pervasive. That's the way of saying. Atma is everywhere. Went everywhere means what? Atma is everywhere. Means what? It's all pervasive. All pervasive is meaning what? Pervades everything. Just as clay pervades all the pots and pans. Yes, Swami. Thank you. Again this part. Again, this is all I have here. See, one thing about gold. That gold pervades an ornament whether the ornament is shapely ornament or an ugly ornament. Gold has no discrimination. Does not I'm sorry, Swamiji, I will not go into this. You made an ugly thing. I won't go there now. Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshyosya na priyaha. Lord Krishna says, all the beings are same to me. I'm equally present in all. Name dveshyosya na priyaha. There is no one that I hate, there is no one that I am partial to, I have no raga dveshas. Meaning that without exception, I abide in all the beings. Like the clay abides in all the pots, but Pariyagat, he is the self of all pervasive. Like the space pervades all the different spaces. Meaning that I am all pervasive, meaning that I am not confined to any one body, mind, sense complex. Sapariyagat Shukram. So, see the translator, Atma is all pervasive. Pariyagat means he went everywhere, he is all pervasive. Shukram, self-effulgent. That Atma should be this Atma, by the way, even though Upanishads, that Atma does not talk about an entity who is remote, talks about me. Because that is why Bhashyakara said, Atma that was mentioned in earlier mantras is the one that is referred to by the pronoun sa, means this is talking about me or I. Why don't Swami use the word I? Because I already have a notion about who I am. That's the reason why. If they use I, then I may think that he's talking about I, the ego. That is why. Shukram. Now, if some of you may notice, Saha is which gender? Masculine. Shukram, Akayam, Avranam, neuter gender. So, see, there is no here vyavastha. Meaning that there doesn't be any order. Rishis or Upanishad just says sometimes masculine, sometimes neuter. So, feminine also. For Atma, sometimes masculine. Where is Swami? Atma is masculine word, but there is also other words like chit, chiti, like samvit. So there are feminine words also which means consciousness or Atma. Meaning there is no vyavastha, order about gender, because not confined, because it's the same thing in all the, not only living beings, Atma of all, sentient, insentient, whatever that is. No, I will be only in the living beings, no, in the all names and forms, asti, bhati, priyam. Shukram, self-effulgent. So somebody asked Swamiji, Sat is the same as Sat and Chit are not synonyms. Sat means existence, Chit means consciousness. They are not synonyms, but the Sat has to be Chit. Do you know that you are there? Yes, I am there. And that much we can say about ourselves. Other things, who knows? But this is I am. That much credit. How do you know you are? I know. How do you know? Because I am is self-effulgent. So I am means existence. And that I know it without effort, that I am is self-revealing. So existence is self-revealing, consciousness is self-existent. So Varuna satyaya chit, chittaya hyaham. What is that? Is chit. What is chit? Then equation is completed. Aham. What is that? Is chit. What is chit? Is I. So I am self-effulgent, self-revealing. It cannot be that I am not shining, even in deep sleep also. The I continues to shine in deep sleep as well. Swami, then how come I am not aware in deep sleep? This is always debate going on. Vedantin says that Turiya, so-called fourth, is in all the three states. Waking state, I know, consciousness is there. Dream state, I know. Deep sleep state, is there consciousness? So Buddhas concluded there is no consciousness in deep sleep state. If there is consciousness in deep sleep, how come I don't know? You say that I am enjoying Ananda. I should know if consciousness is there. Is it not so? If there is consciousness in deep sleep state, should we not know that I am Ananda? Because they say that's what you are experiencing at that time. Is not so? Anyway, I will not tax you with this, but the thing is that knowing takes place in the mind. If I am, so that mind, that instrument of knowledge is not there, and therefore I do not know that I am conscious. I am there. That I am so and so is the nature, is in the mind. That mind is not there. No complexes are there. No ego is there. Meaning that I am self-evident in waking, dream, deep sleep state. Because I cannot but shine. Akayam, bodiless. Here, Bhashyakara explains, bodiless. There are two bodies we have, three bodies we have. The fundamental of Vedanta says that Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharirat, Vyatiriktah, Panchakoshatitah, Avasthatraya Sakshi, Sachidananda Swarupa Sanyastishtati, Sa Atma. Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharirat, Vyatiriktah. Who am I? Vyatiriktah, distinct from the gross, subtle, causal bodies. So that Vyatiriktata is shown here. Atma or I, the consciousness, is different from, distinct from gross, subtle and causal bodies. So akayam, this is an accounting system. So these, the various attributes that are stated, so akayam is explained as free from subtle body. Kaya means body, but here subtle body. Because the next two, shouldn't say lakshanas, avranam, asnaviram. Vrana means wound. Atma is devoid of wound. Snayu means muscle, devoid of muscle. So what is that, Swami? But then this wound can be in the gross body, muscles also belong to gross body. So that is how it is said here that Atma, the self, is devoid of the, different from gross body. So Akayam is devoid of subtle body. Akayam, avranam, asnaviram, shuddham, pure, devoid of all the impurities. What are the impurities? Ragadvesha are the impurities. Punya, the impurity, all external impurities are the result of the inner impurity. Pollution that we make out there is the result of the pollution here. Swachha Bharata. When will Bharat become Swachha? When this becomes Swachha. As long as these are Swachhas, and I will keep on spreading Aswachhata because I don't feel. People just throw things. That doesn't in any way make them feel there is anything wrong in it. So Swachhata has to come first here. Although they are trying, the Prime Minister is trying, everybody is trying to make Bharat Swachha. But when will external Swachhata come? When internal Swachhata comes. Anyway, that's by the way, it's not connected to it. But the thing is that Shuddham Swachha. So, what is the primary impurity? Bhashyakara says ignorance is primary impurity. Ignorance causes identification, causes ahankara, mamakara, raga, dvesha. So, impurity maybe outside there results from raga dveshas here, which results from the ahankara, mamakara, which results from ignorance, avidya, asmita, etc. So, primary impurity is ignorance. So, shuddham, meaning devoid of ignorance, karana shariram. So, these adjectives or lakshanas of Atma say that Atma, the self, is different from the gross body, different from the subtle body. That is, I am different from a gross body. What is gross body? My dwelling place. This is what? My dwelling place. It's like my home. It's a different thing that I call this home is mine, or I. Thank God that we don't do with this actual outside home. Otherwise, the leakage in the roof, then there's leakage, my roof is leaking. That I'm the indweller, body is the dwelling place, I'm indweller of the body. What is subtle body? This is called karyam. This is called karanam. Karanam is a means with which I communicate and which I know. Subtle body is like telephones or internet and whatever, with which I communicate. Organs of perception are that with which I get the stimuli. Organs of action which I respond. And I require antahkaranam for doing both of them. So subtle body is my karanam. Means, like the tools of a carpenter. The Vivekachudamani says, like the tools of a carpenter, tools are not carpenter, are they? But here this carpenter says, I am the tools. See, carpenter, when he comes in the morning, he comes with a box, a toolbox. He opens the toolbox. Then he becomes carpenter. Until then he is a simple person. When he starts, so he for the whole day is carpenter. In the evening again, he puts everything back. That's what we do. Morning I open my toolbox. Or instrument. Deeply I'm not aware of the organs of perception, action, mind. When I wake up, I open that box. I function with that whole day. In the evening again, I put them back. Thus, these organs of perception, organs of action are comparable to the tools of a carpenter. But I call them as I. I am not the gross body, not the subtle body, not the causal body. Apapa viddham. Viddham pierced by. Apapa sin, not pierced by sin. Meaning that one who is devoid of sins. So papa punya, devoid of papa punya, because there is no kartrutva. Papa punya, a result of action, they stick to one who has a notion that I am the doer of action, devoid of papa punya. Yatma apa. So apapa viddha, apapa viddham. Yatma apahata papma, vijara vimrutyuhu vishoga. Chandogam says, apahata papma, devoid of papa. We are not papis. Thank you, Swami. Then we are not punyashalis also. For me to become free from being papi, I must become free from punyavan also. Papa punya, both of them belong to karta. Apavidham, meaning I am a karta, actionless. So this first line gives the lakshanas or characteristics of Atma, myself, where again it is a language of negation, what I am not. Akayam, avranam, asnaviram. Shuddha means free from ashuddhi, apapavidham. Then second line says, kavihi, manishi, paribhu, kavihi. It explains all-knowing, omniscient, sarvajna. Who am I? Omniscient. Thank you, Swamiji. I'm all-knowing. So does wise person know everything? He becomes omniscient? Yes, he does. Meaning he knows everything? Yes. Does he know what's going on in my mind? That he may not care to. Swami Chinmayananda, Bada Swamiji, somebody asked a devotee, Swamiji, do you know what's going on in my mind? He said, I have enough problem with my mind. Why should I worry about your mind? It's not that kind of a thing, That knowledge takes place in mind. What we call the knowledge of things takes place in mind. Omniscient means all knowing, one that eliminates all the knowledge. I am consciousness that eliminates the knowledge in my mind, in every mind. In that sense, a wise person is omniscient in this secondary sense, that he knows himself as consciousness that eliminates all the knowledge in all the beings, Manishi, Kavihi, omniscient, Manishi, ruler of all. Manishi means ruler of the mind actually. Manasa Ishira, one that rules the mind. So one that rules the mind is a ruler of all, Manishi. Kavihi, Manishi, Paribhuhu, one that transcends everything. Swayambhuhu, self-created or uncreated. So these Kavihi, Manishi, Paribhuhu, Swayambhu basically describe Ishvara. Ishvara is omniscient, he is ruler of all. But then Paribhu, one that one is upari, above everything, one who transcends everything. So with Atma, this Kavihi, Manishi is not used in a primary sense, as consciousness is all-knowing, consciousness is all-controlling. Paribhuhu, that transcends everything. Swayambhuhu, uncreated, self-created, uncreated. Consciousness is adhishthanam, transcends all adhyaropa. So, the second line describes as though the Savishesha Atma. First line describes the Nirvishesha Atma. Second line describes Atma in relation to the Vishesha of knowing, ruling, controlling. But we have earlier discussed, when you in fact, when you think of the ruler also cannot be in primary sense because Atma or God cannot be ruler in primary sense because he has to rule. You get exhausted ruling this unwieldy world. To rule one, if one person becomes so difficult, my teenager son becomes so difficult, let alone anybody else. Why teenager? Little boy? So I once requested, we were watching, so he was watching TV and we were all talking. Will you please switch off the TV? He's a 4-year-old boy. Do I have to? Do I have to? So you, even 4-year-old boy, you cannot, what can you control? So controller, ruler cannot be in a primary sense that he has some kind of, a thunderbolt in his hand and he is scaring everybody. That's how description is. Vajramudyatam, as though upraised thunderbolt. But he is ruled by the presence. He is knower by the presence, ruler by the presence. Yatha tatyatah Arthan Vedadat Saraswatibhya Samabhya. See translation. He has allotted respective duties to the eternal ears, creators. So this is it. We are describing the various devatas, the forces of nature. They are called devatas. Agnis we worship them. So fire god, wind god, rain god. Agni is the fire god, Vayu is the wind god, Indra is rain god. Meaning that all of these are like the officers of Ishvara. He functions through them. Each one of them has their jurisdiction. Fire has jurisdiction of burning, sun has jurisdiction of illumining, moon is his own jurisdiction. And nobody interferes with the other or encroaches the boundary of other. That you, in nature, not that tomorrow sun says, now I will do moon's job. And fire says, I will do water's job. They don't do that. Setuhu vidharanaha elsewhere says that Ishvara is like the Setu, the one who maintains the order. Distinction is maintained. The sun will do what he is assigned to do, Moon will do what is assigned to. They're all assigned their duty. So it looks like. Who assigned them? Ishvara. Atma as Ishvara assigned all the duties to them. Meaning that way he is the ruler, but merely by the presence. This is a way of saying, because we see all these forces of nature behaving in a very obedient manner, in a harmonious manner, when there is no conflict. In nature, what is this the cooperation, no competition. In nature, I don't know where did man learn this competition business. Wrong model. But he learned it from animals, I guess, survival of the fittest. So this was his conclusion. From that, human being learned and developed a marketing system. Of what? Based on competition. Survival of the fittest. It's a violent, there's violence that way. So violent system is adopted. So nobody can be happy. In this system, this is by the way I'm saying, just impressing you by my knowledge. That in this market system, nobody can be happy. At the top also you can't be happy because they are always they pull your legs, they're ready to pull your legs. Once upon a time, somebody was, I think, from India, some crabs were being exported, to United States. And crabs are packed in a wooden crate. And things being what they are, by the time they reach there, the crates are all broken. It is understandable. But to their utter surprise, those fellow Americans found that all the crabs were intact. Nobody escaped. Otherwise, they were in the sea. Well, transported in the ship, they were in the sea. They could have gone away, isn't it? But they didn't. None of them did. So he was impressed. He said, you must be all right. Indians must be all right. These crabs are from India. For everyone that wants to go up, there are 5 fellows pulling him down. So this is marketing system. Anyway, but that is why there cannot be, that's not lesson from nature. Nature is all cooperation. Is it not so? Every element of nature cooperates with other. Otherwise, sun becomes the ruler during the days. I will not give up my chair. The moon has no scope, isn't it? Moon, I will not give up my chair. Then stars have no scope. Stars won't give the chair, lightning, then they have no scope. Each one comes, leaves at the appointed time, other one comes. That is how this tremendous vairagya also, because ready to give up. My time is over. No, I will hold on to it. These fellows, I will not transfer power. Imagine, in United States, this fellow says, I will not I will give up my chair. In the 21st century, in the so-called most developed country, this president says that I will not give up my chair, I have not lost. Anyway, not in nature, that you know that. Yathat arthan yatha tatyatha arthan vedadat Saraswatibhya samabhya. All the various devatas, the natural forces have been allotted their duties, and they all function as per what is allotted to them. So these mantras, up to 8 mantras, from 5 to 8, or 4 to 8 rather, is the elaboration of the jnanam in the first mantra. Now comes second mantra, is elaborated in the next 6 mantras. So the karma is now elaborated in the next 6 mantras. We will see that tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।